Hi, everyone. My name is Jackson Ratcliffe, and I am the marketing manager at Centerbase, the parent company of Family Law Software. Family Law Software helps law firms and individuals plan strategically to make informed decisions during those difficult times. And we want to welcome you to today's webinar on 5 ways Family Law Software gets your family law case to resolution. In this webinar, we will tackle the toughest parts of many family cases, the numbers. Family law software, as it is designed, is to enhance your productivity and improve client outcomes with easy data entry, quick child support, analysis tools, and automated reports. In this webinar, you will see how family law software quickly calculates child support and statutory alimony, creates multiple financial reports in single data entry, allows users to quickly consider multiple child support, alimony, and financial options, answer the most common questions like, how can I keep the house? And divide the marital estate before and after taxes. Today, we have Nancy Schaefer and Anna Tate. They are both experts in family law software and practicing attorneys. All right, Anna, Nancy, would you all like to take it away?
Yeah, thanks, Jackson. So my name is Anna. I'm an attorney in Orlando, Florida, and we're going to go over way more than 5 ways we can get your case to resolution, but we're definitely going to go over the most common questions and the most popular tools within family law software. So right now I am screen sharing with you, and so we have a lot of Florida people in today, so we chose Florida because of that reason. So if you see the word Florida at the top, know that family law software is going to customize to a full list of states, and we're going to calculate taxes in all 50 states. But when you log into family law software, I want to highlight a few things that we do to help your office collaborate and help you collaborate with clients. So when you log in this left-hand menu in our cloud portal, you're going to see File Manager. And if you click File Manager, you're going to see a full list of all of your files. In particular, you're going to see the name of the lawyer who's logged in, which is myself. You can have support staff and paralegals and other attorneys all log into this one location to start files and look for files. It's super easy to add a case just by clicking New Case File here. And all of your cases are going to be listed here, and they all have an action item. If you click this action item, know that you can change the name of the case, etc. But what's cool is you can also look at the history of the file. So you can see who's logged in and who's made modifications to that file. So you would see the names of the attorneys or paralegals who have accessed that file. So this is really cool, so you can see what's going on. I'm going to close that now. The other thing that is included in every subscription for family law software is help. So if you click this action item, you're also going to see email FLS support. So if you have a question about something super simple, like what's going on with my footnote, just click, email support. If you have a question about the numbers, the taxes, you can email support. You can also collaborate with other professionals that are using family law software and actually email the data file to them. So this is a really great way, especially in a collaborative practice or sending a file to a mediator. So one of those neutral type parties, along with other actions. All right. The last thing I'm going to cover in family law software file manager is going to be shared files. So if I switch to shared files here, what do we mean by shared? You can actually have your client enter data themselves. So when you start that file, you can invite the client to the file, you add their email, and I have 3 clients right now, and you can see that 2 of them have a red locked icon, and that means that these clients can no longer access the file. I've collected the information from the client and I no longer need their input, and I'll make changes in the future. Or I could easily lock or unlock the file to let them back in to make any of those changes. So all of this is included in family law software and helps you collaborate with your team and then also collaborate with your client. Right, so let's go into some of the more popular tools of family law software. And so for those of you that want to follow along or want to play around with a data file later, if you go into settings and click sample file, it's going to load the file in your state and you're able to play with those numbers or possibly follow along a little bit with me. Right, so I am now in enter data And all of your child support tools and spousal support tools, if your state has a formula or has codified some formula for alimony or spousal support, you're going to see all of those tools here. In particular, when you start a new file, it's going to bring you into child support because it's our most popular tool. And it's going to start you in what we call our quick child support calculator. Quick. What does quick mean? It's intended for a simple case or a consultation. And so what you're going to see is you can easily add children. In the sample file, we have Kim and Reese. And if it is just a simple case, two W-2 parents, this can go pretty far, okay? And then what you'll see also, excuse me, is that child support is a live number at the top. So right now, child support is about $1,700 and it's being paid by Blake. But maybe your case is a little bit more complicated. And so if you click complete, in your state, what you're going to see is a list of folders. And if you work your way through all of these folders, you're going to get the most accurate child support result that you can get. And every state is going to be a little different. So for instance, I'm in Florida right now, and you can see the two kids. And in Florida, we have a couple ways of looking at split custody, and you'll see those options here. But if you are in New Jersey, you're going to see a box for a 50-50 formula that you can apply. If you're in Ohio, you're going to see a little box that says, 90 overnights plus. So let's do a different formula. So in every single state, you're going to see all of these different options, and it's just going to get you to the quickest, fastest child support result that you can get, and it's going to be complete. And this is going to be a live number. So if you're in a state like Florida that has overnights, maybe you're in New York and there are no overnights, that's okay. If I update this, so child 1 and child 2 are both going to be 280 overnights with the first parent, I instantly see the child support change at the top. And you're also going to see these other boxes that are really important in net income states for calculating child support. So we've got the majority time sharing parent that gets to claim certain tax credits. And then you also have who is going to claim the child for their tax dependent. And if you click this blue bubble, we'll talk about what that means. But what you're going to notice is we've got this drop down and I've got Taylor, Blake, alternating or neither. So what's really unique about family law software is I can say that Blake is going to claim one child and Taylor's going to claim the other. If this impacts child support in my state, you're going to see that number change. If it doesn't impact child support, because maybe you are in a gross income state, that's okay. These boxes are still really important because it's going to tell us about available net income for the parties in other reports that we're going to cover. And if you select alternating, it's really unique to family law software. We're going to do an alternating report that shows you what how child support will change in those years, or in cash flow projections. Okay, so that is going to be a really cool feature in family law software.
If I might just suggest, if you have a question, and we'd love to hear your questions, put them in the Q&A and we will get to them. Anna, why don't you show the overnight tool?
Awesome. Thanks, Nancy. So we'll check those questions again. And so again, if overnights matter in your state, there's also like this little blue box that's supposed to look like a bed. And so you can play with overnights here, or if you click this box, you could actually enter a percent here. And so you could put in like how many weeknights, etc. And then like we'll do a little calculation for you. When you click OK, you're going to have that update here. Right. Let me cover one more thing on this child support calculator before we go into another tool. So here is going to be wages and filing status. And so obviously you have to have two parties and you have to have income and children to calculate child support. So we've got them on a side-by-side basis. So you can see here Taylor's income versus Blake. But something that's really important is going to be the tax filing status. If the parties were married, they're probably were filing their taxes jointly last year, but in the next year and or post dissolution, head of household versus single. And these are actually drop downs within family law software. So maybe the other parent will still qualify for head of household, or maybe they've already moved on officially and they're filing with a new spouse, or maybe the parties were never married. So this is going to be really important. And right now we're set to 2024, but family law software is going to be up to date with the new IRS tables in a couple of weeks. And if you're cloud-based, you're just going to come in here and see that this has been updated, or you can easily change it. When you are ready to print, it's super easy. You just go back to the menu and you click print. And so in your state, we're going to have that form for you. In other states, we might have other options. Okay, so definitely look out for those. In Florida in particular, we have a step down and a deviation report. So those are super easy. You just click PDF in the top right-hand corner. But this number.
Or if you want to hard print it, you would use your browser print function.
Yes, so that's going to pop open. This will be different depending on which browser you're using. But within family law software, this is what we consider basic. So what is like the higher level analysis that we can do about child support? So in family law software, let's just call this like our baseline. So child support is about $1,700 paid by Blake. And, all of my reports are up to date with this. What if something was a little different? How would that impact child support? And what do I mean by that? I'm going to close the basic tools and I'm going to go into what we call analysis and support what if. So what you can do in family law software is you can quickly get answers for your client about how child support might change if something else were different. What could be different? Well, this 1,700 matches my child support calculator, but I can easily add a new scenario. And what am I going to do in that new scenario? I'm not limited. So in Florida, I could change the spousal support, or I could change the time sharing. But maybe in this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, hey, client, last year you had a really nice bonus, but this year, now that you're getting divorced, I bet that bonus is now 0 due to income deficiency syndrome. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down and you can see here that there's an annual bonus of $12,000. And all I'm going to do is delete that. And I'm going to see how that impacts support. And maybe instead I'll be increasing or decreasing income or playing with other factors. But when I scroll up, what's going to happen is I no longer have the bonus and child support actually goes down. And so maybe this is a better scenario or what's actually going to happen in the case, or maybe I'm going to use this to build an exhibit for my fact finder. And so this can be a really powerful tool that is available in family law software. So level. Right. I'm going to close that and we're going to go back into the child support, which again is our most popular tool. So anytime you can go back through the menu or use your back button in your browser to get back to these tools. If in your state, and keep in mind, it's the minority of states that are going to have some type of alimony or maintenance formula, then you're going to have that calculator there as well. But if you are in a state like Ohio, you're not going to see those options at all. And if you are in a state that uses the term alimony versus maintenance versus something else, then you're going to see that as well. So family law software is going to cater to those individual states because we're going to fully calculate those numbers for you. Every state is also going to have more. Okay, so child support is not the beginning or end of these cases. Each of these cases are going to have some type of income statement. You might call it an affidavit. You might call it a declaration. Every state is going to be different. And family law software is going to know that. And when we collect that data for you, we're going to do it in a format that is similar or almost identical to your state. And we have a whole list of states on our website. And you're going to see that that list of states, it's going to match your financial statement is going to be matched to that court form that you have, okay? And so it's really important that you go through and you put in as much information as you can. You're going to notice that every line item can be footnoted. You're going to see this blue box, and that means that I can say that maybe this is an average of the year. Something is interesting about this, and I want to footnote it. You're also going to see this green box, and this green box is going to be really important for things like taxes. So you definitely want to visit this box. And I'll talk about that green box here again when we go into assets and liabilities. So as we're building this, not only are we building your state form, Nancy's going to take over and talk about other tools that we have. And so let's open this up again. We talked about that green box. So in this particular case, I'm building my state form or doing a declaration. And what you're going to see here is I have this piece of property. It's really important that I pop in the interest rate and the payments. And this green box again, when you click this green box, in particular, when it comes to real estate, we're going to have a lot more questions about that piece of real estate. It might be separate or non-marital property, but we're going to do in family law software, we will divide the property. And if you want us to tax effect that sale, or when we're dividing these assets, it's really important that you use that green box to put in a basis. And so what is family law software doing? We looked at child support and we talked about your state form. All you would do is click print affidavit and you're going to print that state form. But family law software is simultaneously making about 100 reports in the background. And so if you click reports, you can look at the taxes. So based off of the income and their new filing status, we're going to have this full tax report for you. We have these blue help guides throughout the program to help you. We can project outward up to 50 years. So right now I only have 5, but if I'm a financial planner, maybe I want to do 50. And we're building a budget report. So maybe you're not married to your state form. You prefer to look at it more of like in a budget report style, or you're a financial planner. This is going to be, I think, more logical in a lot of cases. So this can be a really great report to look at. And simultaneously, like I said, we're creating all of these reports for you based off of the information that you enter. But cases are not that easy, right? It's not just this or that. What if you don't know? Okay. So what if you don't know what alimony or spousal support is going to be in your case? What if your client's income is variable? They have a business and things are changing. And we really don't know where this case is going to go. And we want to give our client options and a better financial picture. Nancy, what are some of the other tools in family law software that we have to help parties get to a resolution and answer more of these questions?
Okay. Would you like to continue or should I share screen?
Yeah, go
There
for
we
it.
go. I am going to share my screen now and we'll take over. Stephanie Stevie Williams, you had a question. Did you put it in the Q&A or do you want to ask it live? You can unmute yourself or just put it in the chat, or rather in the questions Q&A. Okay, we'll just keep going right now. So the cool thing, one of the many cool things about family law software is you're entering information once and then using it for multiple purposes. So let's say that you've entered data about your assets and liabilities and income and expense. You may want to use your alimony guideline or you may not. So if you don't want to use the guideline or you want to look at other alternatives, we have a whole bunch of alimony calculators, ways to look at alimony. So that would be in the analysis section of the menus. I call the analysis section the playground. This is where you get to play around with the numbers. So let's start out and say, well, I don't know about the guideline. Let me look at what alimony would be just to meet the break-even point for Taylor to have enough money to just barely meet her needs, right? Break even. So this will immediately tell me that the break-even amount is $1,081 per month based on the information that I've entered. And we can go down below the explanation, the text explanation, and see this support impact table. And you'll see we use this kind of table throughout the program. So here we've got Taylor has $1,000 a month of income before support and maintenance. Blake has $13,500. So now we're going to add child support and that $1,081 of alimony. And here's the expenses that Taylor here has that we've entered into the program. And she's now breaking even. She's got nothing left after expenses and taxes, but she's not in the negative. But our friend Blake here still has $8,700 a month in income that's not accounted for in his expenses. Now, granted, you can see he didn't enter any expenses in this sample file, but be that as it may, this is obviously not quite even. So there's lots of different ways to look at alimony. I'm just going to run through them fairly quickly. We can meet the recipient's need. We can take a number. this is what I want Taylor to have after taxes. So this is the desired amount of recipients after-tax income. So this will include her own income, the child support, if you choose to let that be included. And we can again see the details in the short impact report, support impact report. And you can see that we've also added living expenses. So maybe I don't want to care about living expenses that much, but if so, here we go. We've got $4,600 for Taylor after expenses and $4,000 for Blake after expenses. So now Taylor's going to have more than Blake. We can look at a more detailed support impact report in what we call the expanded report. This is going to give you more detail on the income, the taxes, and the expenses. And then you also are going to see that there are options. And so I can set the options to be just spousal and not include the child support in the analysis. Or I can set them to not show living expenses. We just want to care about income. So we have all of those options here. And then I can also do side-by-side scenarios. We have a lot of side-by-side scenarios in the program. They're very useful. So this is not going to work. It's too much. Let's try 70,000. What would that look like? And immediately we get our answer. We get our net after tax support impact report, and the same thing with the expanded report and the options. Then when we do it this way, we can do as many columns as we want. Now, what's a better way or an easier way, let's say, that a lot of people use is, I don't care about what she needs. Let's just take the overall income and divide it between the parties. So let's balance their incomes. So here we're looking at a split of after-tax income. So here at 50-50 split of after-tax income, the amount needed is 5321. And then again, we can see the support impact detail. We can also do side-by-side scenarios. So, maybe this is not the end result that is going to make both parties happy. This is great for collaborative mediations, settlement conferences. So I can say, okay, what about a 40% for Taylor? Whoops. I thought I hit enter, but I guess I hit delete. Okay. And so now we're going to do 40-60. It's going to resolve in a second. And then it's going to give me what that's going to look like. And again, I can do multiple columns side by side. And it just allows me to really look for the best result for my client, for the parties, the family as a whole. We could also do other what ifs. So Anna showed you the what if, which focuses mostly on child support, although it would include alimony in states where alimony is a factor, and there's a guideline. But here you can play around with the numbers for support and alimony. And again, we have a detail support impact detail. And then I can also set options and choose what to ask about for the what ifs. What are you going to change in each column? And in my options, again, I have a lot of choices, so I can keep child support the same, or I can update it when I enter the alimony if alimony is part of income for child support purposes. Do you want to keep child support in sync with the original data, or do you want to let it change? Same with alimony. So you could keep the child support the same, and then it's going to turn blue. That's the calculated amount. So anytime a field is yellow, it's a data entry field. When it's blue, it's calculated. And you can also go have our own alimony formula. This is something we've created for states that don't have a formula. And we start out with a 30 minus 20 as the percentages of income. And then we can include consideration of the factors and how those might change the amount of alimony that we're asking for. And so we can make them higher or lower, and it will change the formula, change the proposed support amount, which you'll see here. And again, the duration factor. So we have lots of options. Now, what if alimony is not an issue, but we still need to divide property? So you've already entered all the assets and liabilities. You can go to the property division worksheet, and this will have it's like a souped up spreadsheet. It has your assets, your description on the left, and the values on the right. And then it will allow you to move things around by either percentage, and it'll change the dollar amount and the percentage and dollar amount on the other side. Or we can do it by dollar amount, and then it will change the percentages and the dollar amounts on the other side. And at the same time, it's giving you a running total. Now, you may want to say, okay, this is how we want to divide it, but I see it's not the same. So I could do the math, but I'm a lawyer. I don't like math. So I can just check the box, and it will immediately tell me what the percentage and dollar amount would be. So if I want a 50-50 division, I'm in a community property state and only do 50-50. We're going to start out with a 50-50 division. And then this tells me that we need to give Taylor $54,000 more to get to a 50-50. So I could increase something by $50,000. 9 and 5 is 14. And now we're only $4,300 apart from 50-50. But I can also do a different percentage. So let's say I want to give her 54%. For all of you who are in equitable distribution states and can play around like that. And now we see that we're $16,000 off. So, I can move assets around to get to this down to zero or close to zero, or I could leave this as an equalization payment to be made at time of divorce or over time, whatever it's going to be. What if I don't know how to divide the property? This is one idea, but we're in a mediation or a collaborative, or we're still negotiating. I can go again to side-by-side scenarios in the property division scenarios page. And here I see all the assets and the division that I've set. I've set it in divide property, or you can actually set it when you enter the data in those data entry pages. And now I can add a scenario. It's a good idea to label them because you'll forget if you do multiple scenarios, what was this one? What did I change here? What did I change there? So let's make the house all go to Taylor in this one. And then we're $13,000 off. It still shows me the equalization. And it's the equalization that I put in the divide property worksheet. So let's make this 50-50 again. And I'm going to go back to the scenarios. And this is going to now tell me I need 25,000 to get to 50-50. And interestingly enough, what can I move that's $25,000? She needs, so let's give her $25,000 of this account. And now when I go back up to the top, I can see, oops, I did it the wrong way. It should be $25,000 to the other person. Sorry. So we're going to make this, actually, let's make this 20% to Taylor. So now 80% to Blake. And we're still off, but not by as much. And I can keep going, or I can do another scenario side by side. And then let's say eventually we're going to give Taylor the house and we're going to give Blake the retirement, 100% of both retirements. And maybe we're also going to move something else. We don't have a lot of assets in this, but here we're down to an $8,000 difference, $8,800 difference. So if this is the one I want to use, then instead of having to go back and make all the changes that I've made in scenario 2, I can actually swap for the actual with scenario 2, and it will flip those two columns. And now what was scenario 2 is the actual, and is what will show in the divide property worksheet, but also in our reports, which is your final end product of who gets what. You can attach to a balance sheet, to a marital settlement agreement, to a settlement proposal, to a pretrial memo, all kinds of things that you may want to use the program for. So that's 30 minutes of how to do family law software. I'm going to stop sharing now for a moment and see if we have any other questions. I'm going to tell you now that if you need support, we are happy to have you do support through our tech support line email. It's support@familylawsoftware.com. We try and respond within 2 to 4 hours if it's done during business hours. If you have an emergency, I'm always happy to help our users, and you can reach out to me directly at nancy.schaefer, SHAFER, at familylawsoftware.com or at centerbase.com. We had another question. Let me take the 2 open questions. Printing the reports. So if they are landscaped, if you go too far from the cloud, we can't print a landscape, but you could save it as a CSV file and then print from there. And we are working on solving that problem. It's a browser problem, it's not us. Or you can print from the browser itself. So you can PDF or print. It does do documents for several states, including California, Florida, Illinois. And you can also do our reports as your attachments. We have a generic affidavit for states we don't have specifics on, and we're happy to work with you to try and get what is needed. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. That concludes our seminar for today.